Welcome to the Tri-State Weather Watch, your go-to source for the latest severe weather updates. This is my first official video for the channel and Facebook page, and I'm excited to keep you informed. Today we're diving into some serious weather events you need to know about. If you're in the Ohio Valley, brace yourself. We have major storms on the horizon that could impact your plans and safety. Stay tuned as we break down the details so you can stay prepared and informed. Let's get started. According to the latest forecast from the Storm Prediction Center, we are expecting significant weather activity today and in the coming days. For today, there's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms across the northern plains into the upper Midwest. This includes areas like northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, and parts of North Dakota. These storms could bring large hail and damaging winds, especially as the evening progresses and an organized squall line develops. Looking ahead to the Ohio Valley, there's a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms extending from central plains across the mid-Mississippi and Ohio valleys into the northeast on Tuesday. Expect strong thunderstorms with potential damaging gusts, particularly in areas where stronger mid-level flow overlaps with high buoyancy. The Energy Helicity Index maps indicate areas of high atmospheric energy, particularly over Illinois and western Indiana, which could lead to severe thunderstorm development as these systems move eastward. Additionally, the significant tornado parameter suggests a potential for isolated tornadoes, particularly in northern Illinois, which could affect the Ohio Valley if conditions persist. As of the current time of upload, radar imagery shows active weather patterns in the region with significant storm activity near Chicago, moving towards Indiana and Ohio. This could lead to severe weather conditions in the Ohio Valley soon. Now, if you didn't understand that, I'll be explaining this a little bit better for each image that I provided. That first part was basically kind of for people who kind of understand it a little bit better, but if you don't understand weather and how to read radar and stuff, this next part is for you. Also, I'd like to add that I know many of you are watching from the Ohio Valley area because that's obviously at least for this group and channel, I cover the Ohio Valley mostly because that's where I'm from. I live in this area, so this is the weather that I look at, especially right now, especially since I'm starting out. You might be wondering why this severe weather outlook is important for you. While the most severe weather today is forecast on the northern central United States, especially the more significant stuff, weather patterns can shift, and what happens there can impact us down the line. For example, the storms in northern U.S. could influence our weather over the next few days, which is why I'm doing a three-day outlook of the potential for severe weather. Potentially bringing rain and thunderstorms to our area. It's also a reminder to stay prepared. With that being said, I'm going to start with the first map. The first map is the general severe weather risk areas for today. The focus is on the northern parts of the central United States. We're looking at parts of the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. These areas are categorized by different levels of risk: marginal, slight, and enhanced. Now, the enhanced area shown here in orange is where we expect the most significant severe weather. If you know anybody in this zone, because I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of family, and if you're watching this potentially from this area, you should be prepared for potentially intense thunderstorms today, which could bring very damaging conditions. So first off, we're going to move on to the hail threat. This map shows us where the hail is most likely to occur. Once again, the highest levels in the northern central United States, particularly in parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota. The yellow shaded area represents a 15% risk with hatching, indicating even higher probability of bigger hailstones, basically. This is where you start getting into baseball sized hail and stuff like that. This means that there's a notable chance of hailstones, like I said, which could cause damage to property and crops, especially with those areas producing a lot of corn, and especially at least for our area where I live, there's a lot of corn right now, so these type of hailstones could definitely cause some damage for that. Additionally, we have a 5% broader risk area that extends into parts of the Midwest. Now, this is the one that most people keep their ears perked up on, because especially myself, because this is what had got me interested in severe weather and kind of keep my eyes on it, which is obviously tornadoes. The tornado risk today is highlighted in green, showing a 2% chance in parts of the northern U.S. and Midwest. While 2% risk might sound low, it's important to remember that tornadoes can develop quickly and cause significant damage. Especially with the type of situation that we're kind of in today. There is a high probability of like spin up tornadoes, especially with the high wind chances and stuff like that, especially with like squall lines and stuff like that. What it basically is basically like a big line of thunderstorms where supercells and stuff like that can get kind of like masked, so these tornadoes and stuff like spin up, pretty quickly. Now, just because it says 2% risk, and it is low for today, that doesn't mean that like other areas can't be affected, because there's been a lot of times where there's been tornadoes where there is like no risk even like on the map. So definitely what we're going to talk about right now is the wind threat. The risk pattern here closely follows the wind threat. The highest risk for damaging winds is again in the Dakotas and Minnesota, with the 15% risk area highlighted in yellow, and hatching, indicating even greater likelihood of significant winds. So this basically means, like, especially with the hatched area, that means that we could definitely probably see conditions that would call for like 70 to even higher amounts of winds. I really hate saying the word derecho, because a lot of channels and a lot of like Facebook groups like immediately jump to that, especially when there's like lines of storms, like a big line of storms. They automatically jump to derecho. Like they jump to that word because, I mean, the conditions like kind of call for it, like that it could be probable. But the only issue with that is that derechos can't be really predicted. They're only predicted or like documented after the fact. So, and derechos, if you don't know, are basically big lines of storms that span like hundreds of miles that like produce like literal, like they call them like land hurricanes, because they produce like very strong winds. And as of right now, like there's a lot of power outages like up north in these areas. So I'm definitely expecting like a lot more as the day progresses, and probably in the coming days. The broader 5% risk area stretches through the northern central United States into the Midwest and Northeast. So that's for the first day. So now we're going to move on to the second day. The first day is obviously for today. I don't know if I need to clarify that, but I might have to. The first day is obviously meant for today. Okay, so the day 2 map highlights the general severe weather risk for tomorrow, which is the first one that you see now. The focus is on the central and northern parts of the United States again. We're looking at parts of Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana, and Iowa. The slight risk area shown here in yellow is where we expect more significant weather tomorrow. If you're in this zone or know anybody in this zone, they should be weather aware. First, we're going to move to wind threat. This map shows us where the damaging winds are, and it's pretty much the same thing as like today. Next, we're going to talk about the hail threat. The risk of hail is highlighted in brown, with the 5% chance in parts of Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa. Finally, let's cover the tornado threat again. The risk of tornadoes tomorrow is a 2% chance. Once again, just because it's low doesn't mean it's not completely zero. So now we move on to day 3. This map is kind of hard to kind of like break down to where any specific severe weather is going to take place, especially because they just don't go out that far as far as like the severe weather stuff. It just basically kind of gives you a general idea where severe weather could possibly happen as of right now. So this map can change within the coming days, which I expect it to. So basically, the marginal risk area shown in green covers a large portion of the country, from the Central Plains through to the Ohio Valley and into the Northeast. This indicates that while severe is not guaranteed at this moment, conditions are still favorable for thunderstorms that can produce damaging winds, hail, and possibly isolated tornadoes. This map shows probability of severe weather occurring within 25 miles of any point in the risk area. The brown shaded area represents a 5% risk. Now this might seem low, but it's important to stay alert, because, especially like I said, within the coming days, a lot of this stuff can change. A lot of this stuff is like conditional. Some areas might not experience weather, especially like severe weather, if weather at all. So it's definitely kind of like easy to kind of like forget that. As far as the maps and stuff, like the radar that I'm seeing, it looks like, at least where I live, we will be affected a little bit. The more widespread weather events, I think, is probably going to be like the 17th, which is on Wednesday, which even that kind of is like conditional. And I think Monday and Tuesdays are going to be like probably the most like risky days to come, where there's probably going to be widespread severe weather. So like I said, as of right now, you're in the marginal risk area, which includes like pretty much like the whole eastern part of the United States, at least the northeast. Be prepared for possibility of severe weather. Like I said, these can cover all aspects of severe weather. Okay, so for additional information, this map shows the energy helicity index for July 15th, indicating areas where rotating updrafts are more likely. We see high values across parts of Illinois and Indiana, which suggests a higher potential for severe thunderstorms, including tornadoes. For day 3, which is July 16th, similarly, the energy helicity index for July 16th shows an elevated values in parts of Illinois and Indiana, indicating continued potential for severe storms as the system moves east. This one I mostly look at, like I said, the significant tornado perimeter map for early July 16th highlights areas with a higher risk of tornadoes. As of right now, for our area, we see some potential hotspots in Illinois, so residents there should stay vigilant, but there is also like a little bit like, up by northern Indiana. So a lot of people are asking like why all this stuff is happening, why is there a lot of instability and stuff, and that is mostly because of the temperatures, and with high temperatures and humidity, conditions are ripe for thunderstorm development, as these storms could bring heavy rain and strong winds and possibly hail. So yeah, like I said, there is a lot of heat. There's already heat advisories and stuff for the next few days, but that should all probably be like gone by Thursday. So that's all for today. Weather's update. Keep an eye on the skies and stay safe out there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Tri-State Weather Watch on our Facebook page for more detailed forecasts and weather alerts.